Good evening. This is Tisha McDonald. I am waiting for my sister Tanika Gillard to join. This is Twinnis. This is Tisha from Alternatives Beauty Studio, and soon Tanika will be joining us. She's having a little bit of technical difficulties, but she will be here. Um, so we've been in COVID for almost a year. It will be a year come March. And I wanted to know, here's Tanika right now. Hey, Nikki.
Hey, everything is being slow. How y'all doing? I'm sorry.
And this is Donna. She's right there. But let me introduce you first. Um, First, I was saying that we've been in COVID for almost a year come March. And how are we coping with COVID? How is our mental health during this time? The kids are out of school. The parents some of them had to quit their jobs or teach from home, or, if we already were suffering mentally, how are we doing right now? We need to take a mental temperature of what's going on right now. So I want to introduce my good friend, my bestie, my sister, let me say, I love her. Her name is Donna Watson-Ladson. She is in school currently for her doctorate. I am so proud. She just opened up her practice, Keeping It Real Counseling. Yes, yes, yes. And I just couldn't ask for a better friend and sister. So I want to introduce her. This is Donna, and she is um, taking in clients, and she sees what's going on in the real world day to day. It's easy for me as an outsider looking in, giving my opinion, but it's nothing like having a counselor who works with this day in, day out, give their opinions, their views, I don't know what to say. But I'm gonna just introduce her and let her speak. How was your day?
It was good. Go ahead. It
Okay.
was good.
Okay. Here is Donna.
Well, ladies, I want to thank you, first of all, for inviting me on the show. I'm really excited to be here. I love you both. My first love was Tisha, and then I was so fortunate to get this other one, my nemesis. Amazing ladies. They're such fantastic role models that they inspire me all the time. And they're just always moving and shaking and always giving back. And I so admire them. So
Thank you.
for letting me be here.
All right, so Donna, like I said in the intro, COVID has been here almost a year. What have you seen in your practice? What is going on? How are people mentally?
Well, what I found initially was that there was an initial spike, like in mental health. People's mental health fell off quickly. So folks who were doing, who were quote unquote doing fine, they started to experience things that maybe they'd never experienced before. And it was pretty severe. And then folks who already have mental health issues or who were on the brink, definitely everybody kind of took a mental health dive overall. However, over the year, what I've seen is it kind of ebbed and flowed. So there are periods where people are definitely having more difficulty, and then periods where they are doing better. So what's happened now after a year, people have started to establish some new norms that learning to try to cope in different ways, not all of them healthy ways, because some of the ways that people cope haven't been helpful. But there are some folks who are starting to kind of adjust to the way things are. And so overall, right now, it's not great, but people are starting to kind of find their center.
Their rhythm.
Other issues it's not just COVID and the fact that you may have lost loved ones, that you may be sick, that you might not have work. It's the whole financial piece. It's everything else that's been going on in the country at the same time. So it's like a multiple whammy. So it's not one thing or another thing, it's everything.
Hmm.
I have a question. In the beginning of the COVID, people were fussing because the churches had to close down, but the alcohol stores were still open. Did you have an opinion on that?
I did. And I didn't think it was a good idea because people's spirituality is obviously very important. and not just the spirituality, but the idea of coming together. It's we couldn't be around our loved ones. Some of us lost loved ones, weren't even there when we lost them. And then the thing that could help us hold that piece together, no, but yeah, we could go lick it up. So no, I didn't support that, especially because people were using that and continue to use it as a negative coping skill. Because in the absence of anything else, I'll get high.
I like the fact that your practice is called Keeping It Real Counseling, and you just kept it real right there. I love that. Don't laugh at me, Nikki. So,
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Nikki.
I was saying, so me as a special needs parent, I don't know if you can help on that side, because we've had some issues in the special needs community, children not being able to go to school. That threw us in for a different type of a loop. And I could cry just thinking about it, because that's a different type of stress. You know, you already with the child in the evening, like 3 to whatever, but then because they're at school, but now they're with you home full time. And that's an added stress, especially if you was already stressed being with them, during the evening, because they were a lot of work, to be honest. And if you had a job, you had to quit your job to take care of your special needs child. Plus, you don't know the severity of each child is different, of course. So any words on that?
I would say that, and this is going to sound kind of, how am I supposed to do this? As best you can, you want to have a routine. So whether it's your special needs child or your child that doesn't have special needs, as much as possible to create a routine and try to stick to it. And in that routine, to carve out little ways to keep your sanity by attending to your own needs. Even if it's something simple where you just sit in the room for 10 minutes and kind of breathe, but just where you have a little time, a little downtime, but schedule it in, because Nikki, if you don't schedule it in, and if you don't make it a habit, it's not going to happen. It's critically important that you do it now more than ever, because you're right. You're burning the candle at both ends on a good day, and this ain't a good day.
Right. I feel like I'm always running on fumes, and it's really hard to catch that little bit of time, because by the time you get that little bit, it's not enough. It's like, oh, I got to start all over again, and it's never ending. So I think that, finding time for yourself, I started out doing really good with my working out and stuff like that, finding my time for myself. But at the same time, now I'm neglecting one of my businesses. So I'm like, okay, I just got to find what works for me. I can't just be on I have to see what works for me. And if I find my little piece in knitting, I'm going to do my knitting, so whatever it is that I find my piece, because I just found that I've lost my creative energy because of so much. I just don't have the time, because I'm always running, doing something,
You notice I said, if you can sit for 10 minutes and just breathe, I said that specifically because you ladies are always running. Moms, women, always running, right? Always got to do this, and now you preface it with, I got to do this. You know what? The pandemic has showed us you ain't got to do nothing, because when stuff happens, you can't do nothing. So the world is not going to come to an end. Yes, you have to be there for your special needs child, but you can't be there for your child if you're not first there for yourself. So it's really important. It's not I make time for myself. You make time for yourself. You don't find it, you make it, because you ain't never gonna find it. It's like money.
Right. Yes.
So you start from where you are, and I like what you said. So if I have my knitting, girl, knit. And really be kind to yourself, because that's the other thing. I hear a lot of parents kind of beating up on themselves because they can't do this. They feel guilty because the kids are driving you crazy. Who the heck wants their kid home all day long? Who wants that for themselves?
Right. And especially when you have like your kids that's in school, like my son is almost 16, and I know that he's not getting on and doing his work like he's supposed to, and it's hard that way as well. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So even down here, some of the schools are going to go to school starting in July, because they're like, this has been the worst year for students and parents. I'm in Alabama, you guys. So they're getting left behind, so they're going to start in July to catch these students up. T, I'm sorry.
No. The other thing, piece to this is you have special needs, or just people in general who may need counseling, but now the counselors are bombarded, they are overwhelmed, and they cannot take patients on. What do you do in that case?
Trust and believe there's counselors out there. How do I know this? Because I'm a counselor. There's
Mhm.
That's why
counselors.
I'm asking you.
Yeah, what you do is you want to the first thing you do is if you have insurance is you go through the insurance because they can help you locate counselors when sometimes maybe we can't find them. Which I mean, there's an upside and a downside because if the insurance company finds it, that might not necessarily be somebody you want to deal with. Whereas if you go on there, but then the deal is you can always go on a website or you can call them and interview them. And don't feel like just because they take your call, you have to be with that person. If it doesn't feel comfortable, if it doesn't seem like a good fit, that's only going to add stress. There are a gazillion of us out there. Keep it moving because this is for you.
And so you do a lot more Zoom calls. Do you do a lot more services, on the internet rather than face to face or?
Um, no, most of my clients still want to come into the office. I give them the option. But they tend to like now because the weather's bad, they use it for that. But as far as COVID is
Okay.
concerned, they're like, no, because people want contact.
Yeah.
They want something
Yeah.
that feels a little bit normal. So they want to come in. Now,
Right. And
there's a lot
I
of
was
counselors who won't let you come in. There are counselors that are not going to let you come
right. I was saying that this is a different time. Like our kids are going to say, remember back in 2000 when we had to wear masks? Like this is like historical, I think, for us, for the next generation.
in. Absolutely.
Mhm.
There's always those things that happen that mark like a cohort of individuals. And this is going to, because it's not just one thing, it's several things. And
Yeah.
recovering from this, that's the other piece. We have the vaccine now, so people are having a false sense of security, like everything's okay, everything's going to go back to normal. It's never going to go back to normal. There's going to have to be a new normal, and then there's going to be the fallout from all this other stuff. It's like digging out from snow, and then you find stuff up underneath there. So being
Right.
patient with ourselves, because it starts with us, being patient and understanding that it's a process, and some days are going to be better than others because it's a grieving process. We've lost a lot.
We
And we're
have.
all
I said,
grieving.
yeah, I said that. I said, we're losing connectivity. Like movie theaters are shutting down. Usually could go and just sit and enjoy mindlessly. A lot of shopping malls and stuff are closing down because you can't, the retail businesses, everything is going more online. You could buy your groceries online. So we are going to lose that connectivity. And I also feel like this is just me talking, but relationships in the future. How are our kids going to be able to relate to one another, form relationships, because they're not used to that tactile, stuff going on. You know
Excuse
what
me,
I
sorry.
mean?
That's an
I
excellent
wanted to
point.
backtrack real quick. You had mentioned the teenagers and going to school and stuff. Donna, how do you feel about kids? Do you believe that kids should be back in school right now? Or do you believe, we know that we have to wait until this kind of settles down a little, but what is your feeling on that?
Well, that's kind of a healthcare question. So from a
Yeah.
healthcare perspective, I can't speak to that. From a mental
Or
health
from a mental
perspective,
health, yeah.
I think it's really important to get the kids back in school because school is kind of that's the kid's identity, right? That shapes everything that comes around it. And in the absence of that, it's very chaotic. And a lot of these kids were already having difficulty, a lot of my clients, difficulty with socialization and knowing how to engage with people because so much electronics. So this, you're right, Nikki, that absolutely not helping. It's really not helping.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important for them to get back in because school is not just about the books. It's about the socialization as part of the developmental process. That's how they learn. And in the absence of that, what are they doing?
Right. They don't have the contact with their classmates. Some of them are sports athletes and they're not able to really play the game or, it's always canceled or whatever. So that's another socialization part for them, so I don't know. Because I don't even know where the future is for jobs, since so many people lost jobs right now and a lot of businesses are shutting down. I know a lot of entrepreneurs started doing stuff online, which was great. It was a great boom. So just, I don't know. I don't know. And when I think about it though, Donna, I think about the people that already have the mental issues and the stress factors at home, whether it's abuse or whatever, stress factors at home. And then you have your elderly, maybe with the sundowners and then the Alzheimer's, and then, it's just a whole bunch of stuff in one. It's very stressful.
It is, but ladies, you had challenges in your life, and it's about perspective, right? So this thing is huge for us right now, but throughout history, there's always something. So if you talk to somebody who's 100 years old, they're going to tell you some other period in history when things were, or if you look at other countries, we don't have to go 100 years. There are other countries that are going through what we're going through now, and that's called Wednesday. So it's new to us as Americans, but it's helpful to keep these things in perspective. So yes, what we're going through is traumatic for us. But when I talk to some of my foreign clients, they're like, yeah, this is bad, but
Right. I think, and this is going to be way off topic, because when I moved to Alabama from New York and I saw the projects here compared to the projects in New York City, I'm like, these are the projects? I'd live here. Like, these are nice compared to the projects in New York. But I understand what you're saying. Thank you guys. Y'all are joining the Twinness with Tanika Gillard and Tisha McDonald with our special guest, Donna Watson, mental health professional. We're just talking about COVID and how we're all coping and our different aspects, of how we are relating and dealing with this situation. I know last week we talked to a couple of college students and how they're dealing with it. This week we're just talking about the population in general and getting some advice, which I'm going to ask Donna next. What advice does she have for us dealing with COVID? I know she said carving out time for yourself, whether that's exercise, whether that's knitting for me, whatever creative outlet that you have. I know someone else watched the Twinness and they said their daughter bakes. And so she's going to start her little baking company. And so just finding an outlet. What else do you have for us, Donna?
What I have is very basic. I've been doing this since the beginning of COVID. So it's really important not to inundate yourself with negative social media, the news, to sit there and watch that stuff all day long. And that's not helpful. Social media in general, as much as possible, get off of that and live your life. Connectivity is more important than ever. So yes, if the only way you can connect with friends and family is like this, then fine. But the minute you have the opportunity to go take a walk, to go and meet up with somebody, do that, or whatever you need to do in your life, still attend to those things and don't be obsessed with what's going on, because there's always something going on. That's period. True. That's life. And so we want to do that. Excuse me, and just be gentle. I say it to my clients all the time, you got to be gentle with yourself. We're really hard on ourselves and we have expectations that are unrealistic and will only make us more anxious. We're all doing the best we can.
That's true. Donna, how can people contact you in your area?
How do they contact me?
Sure, yes.
Information is right here on the screen.
It is on the screen.
Keeping It Real Counseling. This is Donna Watson. And her phone number is right there, 570-580-4258.
So what area?
I'm in Tannersville, Pennsylvania. Centrally located on a main strip in a building, an office building where I think unemployment is in there, or link, whatever it's called, Career Link. So it's like a central location, and I'm across the street from Friendly's and next door to DQ. So when I say I'm over by DQ, they go, oh, I know where you are.
Yes.
And that's okay. That's another thing. DQ, right? People like ice cream. People like to eat.
Yes.
Okay.
That's me. Enjoy
yourself.
And it shows. It shows because I have gained the weight of COVID. I must say, I have gained the weight.
Okay.
So I'm just saying. Look, I don't feel the ways about it yet, but I'll feel it come the summer. So, at what point should a person seek out counseling? What if you don't know that you need counseling? How do you know when you need to go?
We all need counseling because counseling is, what do you call it, strengths-based. So sometimes just hearing yourself, having a sounding board can be helpful. We counsel each other all the time, right? You two, come on, that's what y'all do. So a professional counselor is just somebody who puts a clinical spin on it. So we're able to look at it and see if there are issues. How do you know if you need counseling? When you start to find that like the moods are, you're feeling afraid a lot, you're angry a lot, you're unable to kind of focus. Maybe your appetite is just really poor, you're eating way too much. And when you start to lose control, when you feel like these are things that are impacting your life in a negative way, then you might want to reach out to somebody. Sleeping too much, not sleeping at all, you know, your mental health is deteriorating because you already had issues. Maybe you're not taking your medication but when you realize that things are just going on and you're unable to kind of get a handle on it, and maybe somebody says something to you.
We have a question for you, Donna. Are you available to counsel people who are in other states or just PA?
A great question. And that really depends on the state, because the state of PA doesn't have a standing order as far as telehealth is concerned. They defer to the state where the client is. So if that state is okay with me counseling them, then I can. But I would have to know first whether or not, that was possible.
Thank you for that question, Cheryl. That was a very important question.
Yes, it is.
I would think that maybe, I don't know, of course, I wouldn't know, that because it's pretty much virtual, you may be able to do other states, but who knows? I don't know. What do I know?
No, tell them you can't.
That's not true. That's not true.
Counseling is not, it's not a national license, so every state deals with it differently. So
almost
it's not
like cosmetology. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it depends.
Yes.
But I would be happy to talk to somebody, even if I can't counsel you. If you call me and I can help you to connect with mental health services in your state. I mean, the other thing that I wanted to say is there are national hotlines. So maybe you're not suicidal, but maybe you just need to talk to somebody in that minute. So there's something called a warm line. And if you go online and you Google like warm line, and it will give you in your area where that is. Or if you need mental health services, then you just go on and you can Google pretty much whatever.
Thank you for saying that, because I've never heard of a warm line.
Me neither.
Never heard that.
Yeah, there's the crisis line, which is obviously if you're feeling like you can't keep yourself safe or you're in a more escalated state, there's a national suicide hotline and there's national crisis hotlines. But there's also that warm line. And that's just, hey, I'm struggling. I just need to hear a voice. I need to talk to somebody and get some, clarity. And they're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help people with that.
I'm going to be honest. I have had 2 counselors or therapists over the past few years. One while I was in college and trying to juggle everything, college, daughter, of course, my son as well, working, shop, all of that. So I was juggling that, marriage. And then recently, after I graduated college, because they have therapists on the college campus, but then even after that, I sought counseling for, outside of school, because sometimes you just need somebody outside of your family, outside of your friends. That's going to give you a different perspective of what's going on or what they think. But it's good sometimes just to hear yourself speak, because then something just clicks when you hear yourself repeat over and over again. And then it's like, okay, that's it. I hit it right there. I heard myself, so I think that it's good sometimes just to, and every now and again, if I need it, I'll say, hey, I need to set up an appointment. What are you available? What's your availability? And like you, she does virtual as well as in person. In the beginning of COVID, she wouldn't take in person. It was just online, but it's good to have someone outside of your family and friends that you can talk to just to get a different perspective or just to hear yourself and get that click.
Well, thank you for sharing that with me, but I was being very transparent. That could have helped someone. You never know on the replays or even right now that probably helped someone to not feel embarrassed to say, look, I need a little help here. I need to talk to someone outside of my family and outside of my friends. I mean, I always scratch on Donna's ear, but, so I don't know. I was in a class and the moderator said something, and I asked the question, and it was between funeral service and sticking with cosmetology. And then she said, well, what do you want to do? What do you? And she kept saying, what do you? And then I said, well, my mom always said that I should be a cosmetologist. She said, no, you're not answering the question. What do you want to do? You're saying what your mother wanted you to do, but what do you want to do? So it is important to hear yourself talk about it, to hear yourself, and even today I was talking to someone, and another cosmetologist, and she was saying, asking me about funeral service, because I haven't practiced since I graduated. I haven't done my internship or anything. And so I was like, nope, that's not where I am right now. And sometimes you just gotta take that into consideration. Where are you? And then if you could kind of self-assess, then you'll know if you need to go to counseling, or if you just talk it out sometimes. Sometimes it'll just work out. I don't know.
Well, even when Rain was born, and I'm not going to say it's just a transparency moment, but this is the reality. Donna, I appreciate your compliment. And for other viewers that say, Nikki, you're doing a great job, I do get overwhelmed. And so even when Rain was first born, I talked to my doctor, and I told her I need something. As a nurse, I knew I needed something. I knew, and you have to know your body. You have to know your mental. You have to know you. I think sometimes you have to know you. And I knew that I was not me at that time. So anytime I feel like I'm not me, and I feel like it's okay to cry, so sometimes I might have my day where it's like just too much. But the one thing I would say, and Donna, you could chime in on this one, don't put everything out on social media, because everything is not a social media thing. You put it out there on social media, people comment, and then you get offended by the comment. You shouldn't have put it out there. Some stuff does not belong out there. What do you think on that, Donna?
I absolutely agree with that. We spend a lot of time on social media. That is an artificial environment. It's not real.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good for what it is, but we need to recognize what it is. It wasn't ever meant for people to be on there all the time. It's like watching TV. TV's fun, but it really wasn't, we're not supposed to sit there all day long, even though, like I do. But no, I don't support that. And when clients come to me and they're having like depression, anxiety, the first thing I want to do is step them down from, if there's a whole lot of that, step it down from that, because we need to replace that with maybe some healthier, because that's usually just a means of coping and avoiding something else in your life. Right. And how long can we do that, right?
Right. Like your neck buried in the sand, like the ostrich head buried in the sand. If they don't see me, it don't matter,
I know I've cut back a lot on my social media, and even though the husband will think that I'm always on my phone, I'm really not. Or I'm not doing what he thinks I'm doing. He may think I'm on social media, but I'm actually doing something else, But there was a study that was out, and it's saying that the children are home, and a lot of them are starting to become depressed because they're home all day. And a lot of them are not even getting out of their beds to go to class. The teachers are seeing these children in their beds, in their pajamas, showing up to class. But now a lot of the students are not even putting their cameras on. They are just putting up a black screen or an emoji, and they're in bed just, listening to their lessons or whatever. And that's not a good thing. I'm happy that where I am, the cameras sometimes have to be on, but the kids have to listen to their teachers. Where we lived before, they were doing this program Ingenuity, and it was really like the kids were teaching themselves. And it wasn't really good for my daughter's mental health, because she starts seeing her grades go down, 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 because it's like, why do I care? Pretty much like, why do I care? And so now that she is in a different environment, a different school setting, she's happy to get up for school. I see her get up, she does her hair, she puts on her lip gloss, she's ready. It's like, let's start the day, So what do you think about that, Donna? Because now these teens, they're home and they,
That's a tough one, because ultimately there's not a whole lot that's gonna really, when the children, if you can, and if you feel like they need therapy, some of it is going to be what it is. And again, adjusting to the fact that I saw a report on last night. They were saying that under the best of circumstances, some of these kids are a year behind. And this is like national. This is not Alabama. It ain't Delaware. It ain't PA. This is just the way it is. And I think they're being conservative, quite honestly. And that's kids who were motivated. Let's talk about kids that were not. So we got a lot of
keeping it real.
My son.
Yeah. We got a lot of digging out to do, but to keep in mind and always keep it in perspective. Okay, so it's difficult. We've dealt with difficult things before. So one piece at a time. If the children don't graduate, they manage to get through not having all of those landmarks. And I've seen kids do remarkably well with not having their graduations, with not being able to have these things that kind of these rites of passage. So whatever doesn't kill us makes us stronger, right? It's how we as the adults approach it that the children will then kind of take our lead. So that's our call to action, to take care of ourselves and to show them how it's done.
Right. I was going to say that, like, it would be on the parents to say, hey, come on, let's go out for a walk today, or let's go, let's just go walk around the mall, or just to get them some fresh air. And, sometimes certain things are still open. I know the bowling alley is open here with an arcade. So just to give them some normalcy from time to time, I think that is on the parent to try to encourage that, but I know with my son, he only has a few friends, and I know the parents are really concerned about COVID, so they don't get together as much as they used to, but just trying to get him up and out and doing. And he has a therapist as well, and his therapist still contacts him once a week, and I'm happy that he's still in his life, like helping through this time,
All right, guys, so tonight we are talking about mental health and COVID. This is Donna Watson. You can contact her. I'm going to put her information up one more time before we say goodnight.
I want to say one more thing. Can I say one more thing before you close out?
Yes.
Sure. I didn't even speak to, because you touched on it, Nikki, some of the problems that can go on in the house. So domestic violence, child abuse, elder abuse, and some of these other issues that are going on and going unchecked because the children aren't in school. So certain things, people aren't at work. So please, pay attention to your neighbors, pay attention to your family members, pay attention to yourselves. When things start to go south, reach out, get help. I can't stress it enough. There is no shame, is there, right, Nikki?
No, there's no shame.
No shame.
That is so true, because, so many kids have been put in foster care during this period, or they're being so abused during this period. And not to mention the domestic, but, my heart is the kids, really being abused, but the domestic abuse and everything. And when Tanika mentioned the liquor stores were still open, what's liquor going to do? That's going to make the abuser worse, not better. So, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And then with everything else on top of, with the protest and the election, and it's just a lot all at one time. People who have lost loved ones to COVID, or, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Somebody had posted about, we can't see our loved ones in the hospital. We can't, do regular normal things, but they have all these people out at the Super Bowl, so they couldn't understand why that was possible. Even here in Alabama, Louisiana shut down for Mardi Gras this year. They couldn't have it because of the crowds and stuff. And, it's just a lot, but sometimes it's for the better. Certain countries, they said that they're seeing a healing in the land, like the air quality is better. The oceans are doing better. Huh?
New York City is very clean right now.
Okay. Yeah. So it's just a time to clean the land,
And to just take a step back, because we are a society that just runs and runs and runs. When they shut us down for the first time, a lot of us, I know myself included, it was like, whoa, we had to sit with ourselves. That's the other thing. It's not just the pandemic. It's like now I can't avoid all of these thoughts and feelings that I've been trying to avoid. So, and the ways that I normally avoid them, I can't do these things. So it's time to sit and assess what am I doing here? How am I, take the temperature, the mental temperature, and see what's going on. It's not
Now
all
that
bad.
it's been a year, people are like, I'm done with this. I'm going to travel. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Because some of them is like, how much longer am I going to sit in the house? I'm not going to do this anymore. So you have both sides of it. You have some that's very scared to go out still. Some, like Donna was saying earlier, now that the vaccines are here, they're taking it for granted. Like, okay, well, now it's party time. And then you have those that's like, I've been sitting here for a year. It's time for me to get back out.
Mhm.
So you have so many different mentalities toward this.
And that's no different than any other time with any other subject. It just
Yes,
happens to be COVID. People, different ideas, different objectives, and that's okay too. Being flexible, and I'll keep going back to it, being patient with ourselves because we're
yes,
all figuring this out together. So
yes,
maybe today I feel like I want to go out and be crazy, and then the next day I'm like, wait a minute, so understand that you may change because everything keeps changing, and just be
exactly.
patient with yourself.
Anything else, ladies?
I don't know, Tisha. What is our topic for Sunday?
Sunday. Sunday, we are continuing our braiding course, and this is a free course. It's free. Yes, yes, Donna, I might be able to use you, but no.
I
We
wish.
are adorning, and we're doing some parting, but we're really saving the parting, but we're doing some parting. Um, what else are we going to do, Tanika?
I'm not sure, but we're on our plaiting or our braiding series right now. So you got your braids, your plaits, your braid out, your adorning, and your parting. That's what we're going to be doing this Sunday.
And the
It's
tightness,
Valentine's Day, so we
the
might have to
tightness,
think of
yeah.
something sweet to do for our people because it's Valentine's Day.
Oh, and a bonus?
Something, I don't know.
Okay, okay.
What's
Let's
the difference
marinate on it.
between plaiting and braiding?
It's the same thing, but certain regions call it something different.
Ah,
So,
okay.
Oh, and if y'all missed it last week, y'all would have seen that Tanika and I had a minor disagreement. But it
we
was,
always do.
yes, yes, yes. So it was great because, I braid 3 different ways. Tanika braids 2 ways. Don't be smart with me, Nikki. Don't be smart with me. But if you missed it, go back, catch the replay because I have 3 different braiding techniques and Tanika has 2 different braiding techniques. And someone in the audience saw us and asked us to be a part of something that she's doing. She asked us to braid, to teach the braiding
Yes.
class. So Tanika and I, we are a partnership deal. If you ask for one, you got us both. So, and I just want to say, I'm going to put it out there now. We were talking all this time with Donna about mental health. And of course, we know with COVID, the kids are home from school. Next week, we're going to have Cheryl come on, and she is a homeschooler. This is not something new for her. She's homeschooled all 3 of her kids. One has already graduated. The second one is graduating this year, and then she has one more to go. So next week we will have Cheryl come on because, hey, this is new to some of us, but this is not new to her, and she could give you some tips and tricks and fun ideas to do with your children while they're home. Even though you may be like, oh, they're getting on my nerve, but she has teens now, and so she'll be on next Wednesday.
All right. All right.
We want to say thank you so much for joining us, Donna. And once again, she has Keeping It Real Counseling. Her phone number is 570-580-4258. I want to say thank you for joining us tonight, Donna. It was great speaking to you, and have a good night.
Thank you,
Good night.
ladies.
Thank you.
Nika, I will see you on Sunday.
Okay.